What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. Today we're going to talk about one of the most popular franchises, one of the most richest franchises, and one of the most unsuccessful franchises over the last 20 years, the New York Knicks. Being able to get Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony to want to come to New York is definitely a great thing because that shows you that they can get other stars to come to New York. It's still a great place to live. It's still a great place to be at. And you never know, maybe one moment they be able to get on the right track and become a championship contender like they was with Ewan and become a championship team like they was with Clyde. And I think it's possible. Obviously, you're going to need to go in a different direction. You have one of the bigger building blocks in the world, and Kristaps Porzingis is one of the top 25, under 25 players. A guy that can rebound, block shots, shoot the three, post up, hit the free throws, hit the mid-range jumper. He has so much versatility to his game, and he has the ability to integrate with other players because he doesn't need the ball to give you floor spacing. He doesn't need the ball to have respect. People know who he is. He's one of the biggest players and tallest players in the NBA. So you already know where he's going to be at. The attention all goes to him because he's an all-star. He literally was an all-star this year. And I would have voted him all NBA second or third team easily. Probably not second because of Giannis and them, but definitely third because Paul George is a little bit irreplaceable and some of those other guys is too. So the stats and numbers he was putting up at the beginning of the season started dropping, but we don't know how he would have ended the season because they ended up making some trades and they would need to use him more. And his confidence would be obviously boosted being an all-star. And it didn't take him that long to get it. Remember, a lot of us questioned Phil Jackson drafting him. He's not ready to win. He's not going to be developing enough time to win a championship with Carmelo. And it was true because the Knicks went through a lot of bad seasons with Porzingis before he turned into an all-star caliber player and started winning. And unfortunately, when they started winning, he went down. So one thing that's good about this Knicks team, I think they definitely get a lottery pick depending on their free agency. I think they definitely will get a lottery pick this year because Kristaps going to miss half the year. And if you don't have your best players, plus you got a team full of role players, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete even in the East. Remember, they only won 29 games total, and that's including the games that Kristaps played. So they already was a mediocre to bad team. And, having him miss half the season, why try to get that big name free agent unless it's KD or LeBron or Paul George or, DeMarcus, which I wouldn't want him to go with Porzingis anyway. But if it's not those big forwards that can really, be the modern day, you want to have the modern day forward, why not? But I think a free agent that they should potentially go for, and I said this before, is Jabari Parker. Why wouldn't the Knicks want to go for Jabari Parker? He's a guy that he averaged 20 points a game even though he played 50 games. He's a guy that can get his own shot. He's a guy that can knock down spot up threes or contested shots. He's a guy that can create off the dribble. He's a guy that plays defense when he wants to, but he has potential on that side of the floor because his strength, his versatility that can play the 3 or the 4 or the 2, and his athletic ability. He's been able to come back better, looking better than ever when he came back from them ACLs. He's had a lot of bounce, and he still had a lot of athleticism out those knees after the surgery. So I definitely think that they need to shore up that small forward position. If they can't really move up in the draft to try to get like Doncic or something, or Porter, unless he drops, they definitely need to fill that void. To me, that's the number one spot they need to fill. It's definitely that three position. They got Courtney Lee, they got Moody, they got Nina Kina, they got Tim Hardaway Jr. They have so many, guards, but they don't have an athletic scoring 3. So if they don't go in the draft and go for a small forward, I can definitely see them going for Jabari Parker because they have the cap space and they can offer him a lot of money that the Bucks might not want to match if they want to go in a different direction with Coach Budenholzer. And Fizdale obviously would love to have a player with the caliber, the scoring and prowess of Jabari Parker. But also, they got to really take their draft serious. Getting players like Tim Hardaway, even though he left and came back, he was a good value at that pick. Getting a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, who turned into an all-star, is important. I always say how important it is to take your draft serious because it can really change your franchise around. Right now, the Knicks has the number 9 pick, and they're projected to take either Trae Young, Wendell Carter, Michael Porter if he drops, and Colin Sexton. I definitely wouldn't take Sexton because you're still checking out Moutier, and he doesn't have the 6'3", 6'4" body and the wingspan that or the size that a regular point guard would have as a franchise point guard. Also, you have the abilities to fill that 3 position with Mikal Bridges at 10. You still have a pick before him. So you can pick up Mikal, who can play the shooting guard or the small forward position, or you can pick up his brother, Miles Bridges, who's a little shorter than him, but a lot more beefier than him. And he can play that 2 position too and give you size on the wing. Or like I said, you can go get his brother Mikal Bridges, who's supposed to be the better prospect. And he is 6'7", 210, and he can play that small forward position right out the gate. Or you can always go with Kevin Knox. Might not be the perfect fit, but he is a 6'9", 215 small forward, power forward out of Kentucky. Or you can just take a gamble on Robert Williams, who's a later pick, but you can pick him earlier so you can make sure you get him. Or you can trade the number 9 pick and try to pick up more picks to move down in the draft to get a guy like Robert Williams or Miles Bridges and accumulate more draft assets throughout the draft or through another draft. But you also can package the number 37 pick also, because you won't be needing that if you're trying to get more young talent. You might as well trade up and try to get somebody that can change a franchise like Wendell Carter, Michael Porter, Luka Doncic, or even Jaren Jackson, or even Marvin Bagley. But it's going to be hard to get those players because the Knicks don't really have as much young talent that really blows your mind. But I definitely think they should try to fill that guard and small forward position. Worst case scenario, you have Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off your bench as a 6th man, which I don't really see as a bad thing because he's more of an immediate scorer. He can come in and hit threes, he can come in and hit jumpers, and he can get that crowd going crazy. Plus, you're going to eventually need depth on that bench with youth, and he's down there for a couple years also, so it ain't like he's just down there for one season, then he going to leave. As long as you keep him under contract, he's obligated to play on this team. So Michael Beasley definitely is a guy that you want to replace at that small forward position. Tim Hardaway Jr. 6'6" is not strong enough or big enough to play that position, and he's only 205 in weight. Also, Enes Kanter is a guy that you don't really have to rush to fill that power forward or center position because he's 26 years old and he showed that he can rebound and score on this level. Is he the defender? No. And he may as well never be. But he's still a guy that's an option at that position. If you can't move up in the draft and get a real big, like Bamba at the worst, then what's the point of trying to replace a guy like Kanter? And like I said, the power forward center position is kind of taken up by Porzingis anyway. So you definitely don't want to draft too heavy at positions that you really don't need to fill. And like I said, worst case scenario, you ended up with Jabari Parker, a guy that can give you 27 rebounds, 20 plus point 7 rebounds, especially because Porzingis gone. His numbers will be a little bit more inflated because they need him to do more. But you are taking a chance because he tore his ACL twice. But he looked it good in the playoffs. So at the end, the last couple games in the playoffs, and he looked it good, averaging 20 points a year before he tore his ACL. So I like the Knicks. I think they're going in the right direction. I think they really need to find out who they really want in this draft and select them at that 9 position. This can be a pivotal move for the New York Knicks. And like I said, with Porzingis being down and them not really going after no marquee free agents because Porzingis will miss half the season, I think it's very important that if they have a bad start, you still want to see what Ntilikina can give you. You still want to see what Moutier can give you because that's another position you're going to have to fill down the road is the point guard position. But like I said, worst case scenario is you're bad. And the fact that you're bad make you back a lottery team getting a top 10 pick, which turns out to you getting another particular cheap player you can develop into a franchise forward or a franchise point guard, or even just go for the shooting guard position in this draft with Mikal Bridges or Miles Bridges, and going for a forward or point guard in the future, or even making that trade to take on the salary cap of another player and put them there. But the thing that hurt him the most, you can't go all in this season because your best player will miss a lot of the games, but you also going to be so bad that you get another top 10 pick. So I think the Knicks, they definitely got to trust the process. They definitely got to continue to build through the draft and try to find stars and players that they like and want to develop and that fit the scheme and with the identity that they're trying to build in New York. Remember, it's a blue-collar, tough city. You get booed on draft day. People know who the draft picks are. People know when they don't like a player. Remember, even Porzingis was a guy that when he got drafted, they booed him, and now they love him and talk about him, and they love him being in New York. So I definitely think that the Knicks getting this ninth pick will be in the right direction, and having that cap to try to go after a free agent that's young will definitely be important going down the line. And I'm actually going to say another person that they can potentially pick up off free agency, since I do that in these videos too. Definitely, if they're not going to be able to pick up Jabari Parker, who would be a good fit for them, especially fan wise. I think it's and if they miss out on LeBron and Kevin Durant and Paul George, which is 100% likely that they do, because they're going to go to more championship right now teams, especially because Porzingis is gone. You know, they can make a run at Aaron Gordon that can play that small forward, power forward position that you can, offer him that max, and in Orlando most likely gonna match, but that's an option. Um, you can definitely try to re-sign Enes Kanter because he's been solid in the New York uniform. In worst case scenario, he opts out and try to join a different team, which I doubt because he's getting paid a lot of money and his value not as high. But you can even go for a guy like Marcus Smart that can play that point or shooting guard and give you some defensive intensity for, a solid contract. But he can't shoot the three, which is bad. But Moody and Ntilikina is not there yet either. Plus, Ntilikina is a better as a shooting guard than as a point guard because he's more defensive and more of a shooter than a playmaker and a guy that sets you up. So he is 6'5". Obviously, Tim Hardaway is bigger, but he's more of a two-way player and he has a lot more potential. So, like I said, you don't really care about that two-guard position. And, if you can't get Aaron Gordon, then you just going to have to lose this year and rebuild through the draft, which, teams like OKC and teams like the Warriors, teams that really don't get the marquee free agents or the big names trying to get traded there, definitely was able to accumulate a lot of talent and turn them into superstars like Paul George and Carmelo. But also, they was able to get players like Reggie, Cameron Payne, Serge Ibaka, James Harden, Russell, and Kevin Durant, just like the Warriors drafting Clay and Dre and Steph, and been able to accumulate talent to want to come there because they're winning and they develop. But that takes time. That takes losing. Just like the Sixers, the process. They had Nerlens, they had Jaleel, they had Michael Carter, but they only left with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they win 50 games. So this is something you have to go through. You've been losing for the last 3 years, so I feel for y'all, but at the same time, it's part of the sport, and you have to sacrifice for the greatness and success. Gonna have steep holes, it's gonna have smooth roads, and it's gonna have bumps in it. And this is an organization that really been going through it. But if Golden State was able to get through it, if the Seattle and OKC was able to get through it, and even the Kings had a time when they was good and had a chance to win it all. That means the Knicks, they can be one of those teams. They was able to get Amari. They was able to get Carmelo. Definitely, Porzingis is one of the best players in the league. He proved that this year. And that's one part that you don't have to do is look for a superstar because you got a potential one already in Porzingis, and build some pieces, put some pieces around them, and you're losing this year anyway, most likely. Can't get Barry, can't get Eric Gordon, get another top 10 pick. And, he's young, Porzingis, and try to continue to build around him. So check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description in the comment section below. And check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description in the comment section below. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone.